Cool. Okay, we can start. So we have today a short demo on the app links feature as we promised last week, but we'll do it in the second part of the session. I think maybe, Gil, do you want to start off maybe with a recap of the major change that took place yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
So I posted on the Slack channel a document about the changes and how they should affect us. Let me just open it. So a small recap. The code of the generic app was copied to the Zap Android repository, and the build script was updated accordingly. Okay, so we still use the submodules, the old submodules that the generic app had. They are now submodules of the Zap Android project. Another change is that since we use an open code and not the closed areas we had, there shouldn't be any difference between prepare workspace and build app, the rake tasks, except one that Tarek told me today, that on debug and on release we have Minify true, so you cannot debug now unless you change it manually, so I will fix that. What else? About the old SDKs. Each SDK that has lower version than 5.00b will still use the old flow with the like you know. What else can we talk about? Plugins development. When we tag on the Zap Android repository, CI should upload to Bintray an area of the modular SDK like it used to. So you will be able to include it in your plugins if you need. But if you only need the SDK, you can also do it like before. And about code styles, I reformatted everything with the default Android Studio rules. I'm still looking for a tool to enforce the rules. I didn't find a good one yet, but that's the reason I use the default now. I will keep you updated about this. But for now, when you do a pull request, please reformat your code. It's Alt Command L. Someone has any question? You're muted, Elad.
Sorry, my bad.
Okay, so if I want to push a change in the template, so I need to create a new tab.
Wait, why do you need a new tag? You want to release an SDK?
No, I'm asking you. It's like,
okay.
Should I create a new tag? No, I shouldn't do it.
In a template?
What do you want to do?
Till now, if I change template, okay, the layer of the template, the metadata component, yeah, so I pushed it to the Zap project. Now I still need to push it to the Zap project, but it's like I should create a tag or something like that, or
Okay, creating a tag is only if you want to release a version, but releasing a version will be happen every day. So I don't think you will have to do it manually.
okay, I understand. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Did anybody try to work with the new structure yet? I mean, I know
Yes.
that
Yes,
the
I did,
team
and
here
it's
did.
working
Yeah, it's working
for
fine
me.
for me as well.
personally.
Okay.
So it seems we lost all the history, right? Or
Yes.
But we have code formatting.
So now
Looking at the
we can't
back.
blame anyone for
It's all on me. Yeah.
yeah, I keep blaming, and it's Gil.
Generic in one day.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else about that, or we can move forward?
About the history, if someone needs to know the history, we still have the old repository. It's less convenient, I know, but it's still there.
Can we still use the rake prepare workspace with the exclude dependency?
No, currently you cannot,
Okay.
but later on, yes.
All right. Okay.
I don't know.
טוב, סבבה.
Okay. So, who wants to go next? First. No, Gil was just an update. Who wants to share it?
I'm working on UI builder enabling RTL support. That's all. I think that
Just maybe to put it in context, whenever we create a family of new cell styles, family for the UI builder, by default, it's usually adapted to left to right because this is what most of our apps are supporting.
Yeah.
But the Israeli team is working on RTL languages also, and they need to do some adjustments in the families or create a specific family to support RTL.
So I think that we need to pull request to think of RTL views as well, and not just left to right. So I thought that you're using the start and end property to enable it, but I'm not really sure that all the families will support right to left as we need. So I'm making an adjustment for now only for the Colorado family, and I will test it.
Create a process like how to test it without the
Yeah, when I will finish, I will update you maybe how you can test it right to left. That you can test it, because now we don't have how to test it. But just think about it.
Kariti, and how will you implement right to left for a React component, for example?
I don't know. I'm not using the React component.
Is it in the UI builder right now?
I'm using only for the component layout and all the components that inherited from me. That's all. I'm not touching
I think we're
anything in the React Native. I think
we're just dealing with native components.
Right Native should have internal support. This is how we did it in Leshem. Like there is a flag that you can set for the React Native RTL or something.
Okay.
It's in the React code.
I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to cover everything. And maybe there is some thing that I can miss. I will test it in a few apps, and I don't know. There is a lot of places that I'm not sure that anyone touched it in the last year. So I'm not
But,
sure what's going on there.
If there is a new components that you're working on, so let us know RTL, or just make sure that it supports RTL. And if not, just tell us what support and what not.
Basically, the application should behave according to the language. So
The language of the device.
the language of the app.
When you set it up.
Okay, so when I will finish, if you want to test it, so you just need to configure the app to
No, you will have a flag in the app.
No, the flag is not enough. Sorry, no, it's according to the flag, but I thought about the language because we have a multiple languages app, so I thought about it, but I didn't implement it yet. So now it's like according to the flag.
There is a flag in the properties, in the general properties configuration. Support RTL. That's all.
But we also need to support the multiple languages. We have
Okay.
We have apps that use both left to right and right to left languages inside.
Maybe. Right now it's not tagged like this, but we have to think about it.
Potentially there can be.
There is the Arabic and
maybe we have Arabic.
Okay. Thanks, Kariti.
None. I don't have anything to update. I'm just working on a specific project. Nothing really to update.
Okay. Guys, who wants to go next? Is Ran here, by the way?
No.
Not yet. Okay. Who wants to go next? Hani?
I have nothing to update this time.
Okay, I'm just curious. I understood that you guys, you and Simon, are working on something related to dynamic links.
Yeah, sort of.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe after after we do the demo on the uplinks features on HTTP deep linking, we can maybe talk about the dynamic links and what the future development is going to be, because I think it will be relevant for many regions.
All right, sure.
Okay. Guys, Javier's?
Javier's, okay.
what about the architect?
I don't have much to update either. Still doing, React Native stuff, updating our implementation to 50 currently. But yeah, that's about it.
Was the React Native default plugin merged to the SDK, or is it still a plugin?
That's my next task. I wanted to update it to 50 first, and then I'm probably going to follow the same thing that iOS is doing, which is added as a dependency to the SDK as a submodule. So I'm not actually going to just rip it out and place it inside the SDK. That way we keep history, and whoever's still using the plugin is still where it was before. But again, I haven't started the task. I will, I'll let you guys know.
You do need to do the adaptation.
Only in the manifest.
Yeah, only the manifest should change. In like a perfect scenario, all you would have to do to update to the new solution would be to remove the dependency on the plugin. So we might have to do some things with the SAPIFS tool to allow plugins without, without a base class. So it's like an empty plugin that just tells you what npm dependencies you want, what your React bundle is, and that's it.
How can I point to my bundle? Like for now, I just sort of create a new plugin, and it is based on the default plugin, but I have like in the manifest, I pointed to my bundle. How will it be when you make the change?
Yeah, exactly like that. But instead of you basing a plugin off of this default plugin, it'll be based off of nothing. It's just a manifest with a pointer to your bundle and whatever extra dependencies you want as well.
Okay. All right.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Javier. Tara, do you have anything?
Yeah, so the thing is I'm homesick, so I haven't worked so much today and yesterday. But yesterday I merged the family 3, family 3 into the code as we were like moving everything into the SAP Android. So I just need to go over and just double check that everything is fine. And once I'm actually finished with that, I'm dealing with a weird issue with fonts. And not a weird issue, but annoying issue with fonts and the way things are designed. But that's something that it's not much of a fix right now on the Android side. Like the thing is, the design when they did it for Colorado is that when you have tablets and you have 3 rows, so instead of actually list, you display a grid, it has 3 rows. And the designs are not actually accommodated for screens which actually the width are actually smaller and they don't have like a 16:9. So what happens is that the text, even with the same font size and because of the resolution, it actually appears on top of the text of the cell. The cell appears on top of the date. And so I'm not so sure actually how to fix this without actually either changing the number of columns or making the font smaller for all the tablets, because the thing is we cannot differentiate between different resolutions of tablets. So for us, we just have phones and tablets. So that's the root of the issue. And I don't know. I was gonna work on that today, but I'm still not feeling good. So I haven't worked so much actually on the coding part today. So I think I'll take a look tomorrow. Hopefully I feel better. And then also what I wanted to do work this week as well is actually finally working into putting Dagger in the generic app. It will be really helpful as well with something we are working with the new family approach with XMLs. And I had to do some manual DI by myself, but it will be helpful to actually use Dagger. And so I need to actually double check how it will be the best way to actually use Dagger in our solution on the generic side. But I also wanted to wait until we had everything in the SAP Android project. So, to not have lingering PRs, especially with such a type of PRs. So hopefully I will work on that this week as well. And that's it for me.
All right. So. Get well soon, Tara.
Thanks.
All right. Atanas or Anna?
I can go next. So basically, I've mentioned to the EU team, but I haven't to the global that basically we need to have a look at that RX subscriptions to unsubscribe all of that. Ideally, if we could move to RX Java 2 instead of using 1.2, I think. From the other things which I was doing, the most pain is React Native inner cells. So basically, it's very fragile to load the flexible high into from React Native into the app. Mostly because the Flex 1 is actually telling that the React Native have to adjust to the container, so the container does not adjust to the content. And I was wondering that maybe because that one works pretty well with auto layout on iOS, I was wondering that maybe any of you had have the experience with the new auto layout. I mean the one which have the constraints, the new layouts on the Android which have constraints. Maybe that one will work, or any I don't know, hints for my issue. Yeah, I will be appreciated.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we will talk about it later.
Okay.
Try to understand. I will try to help you later. We'll try to understand what is the issue that you have.
Yeah.
More specific.
So the issue is that React Native is based on Flex flag 1. I don't know, does any of you knows what that means, but that means that this is adjustable, yeah. And what that means that whenever I'm loading the content is stretching to the container, and it's like no chance to do the other way. I mean, I haven't found any solution for that yet. So at the moment, we have to be very careful when we're building the React Native component. We can't just put anything there.
But we can have other options. It doesn't have to be Flex 1. You can, like, the Flexbox, it's really like you have many options.
Yes, you have many options, but then it makes fragile our app, right? Whenever you put anything what is not following the rules, that won't display properly.
And it's like, why? This is a React issue. It's like, why do you think layout will help here?
Sorry?
Why do you think that the constraint layout will help in this case?
Because on iOS it works well, and they have constraints layout there. So maybe this is the, don't know, solution. I have no idea.
Maybe you can show it to me later. Let's talk about it later. You can show it to me, and I will try to help you. I'm not sure that this is related to the container, but
sure. Let's take it offline. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Anna. Well, Satanas.
Hi, so I've been working on two things. One of them is the inline Scodio player, and the other one is a small bug with the top bar. But I'm getting very deep into some ProGuard stuff, so I'm having fun currently with it. So that's it pretty much.
Scodia player? Oh, that's not a problem. Quizy. Scodia player is the player that we use in Quiz.
All good players are custom plugin.
Yes. They need implementation for inline, so it's working on that. Okay. Did we cover?
You are doing their implementation for inline? Did I understand?
No, they don't have implementation for inline. We're building it. Okay, I think we covered everyone. Alex, maybe. No, Alex.
Yeah, I have a small update. I was still working on the same new family architecture interface, and I finally have a progress. The list component and header component are creating the proper composite metadata. So all I have to do now, I guess, is keep writing the mappers. So finally there's some progress. So I'm on the finish line pretty much.
Okay.
That's it. That's a small update on my side.
Okay, great. All right, so with that, I guess we can move to a quick overview and a demo on the app links feature that we talked about in the recent weeks. So I'll just need to share my screen. Let me see how I do that. Okay, so I will cover the documentation. No, I'm not sharing. I should be sharing. All right. You see the screen now, right? Okay, cool. All right, so I'm not going to go over it word by word. I'm just describing in general what we did, and then okay. So first of all, let's talk about the feature in general. HTTP deep linking. As we said, we want the ability to open HTTP links on the app itself without going through the browser first. This is a feature that was added in Android 6.0, where the app, when it is installed, it is verified with the website that is the actual owner of the site and the app are associated, and then the app designates itself as the default.
That you won't be able to.
Do you know how
Facebook and?
Yeah, but
yes, you have to be the owner of the app,
how
obviously.
is the verification done? You know.
In this, there's not much documentation. One thing I did here as part of the. I'll cover that, but generally during the installation process of the app, the linkage between the site and the app is done, and from this moment forward, the app is the default provider for the entity that opens the app, and they opens the web link. And of course, the user has control. He can control it via the settings to decide that he doesn't want the app to. So he can disconnect between the app and the web, but the default is done. So the feature is called App Links starting Android 6.0. And before that, you would see, remember on previous versions of Android, you would see what is called the disambiguation dialog, where the user needs to choose.
Content provider.
And this is actually what is going to be shown when the user clicks on an app in a version before Android 6.0. So they will still see this dialog, but the app will be one of the options, not just the browsers. So the app will be one of the options to display the link. So the linkage is done, but it's not automatic. On Android 6.0, it is automatically, we will demo how it looks like in 6.0, but this is how it looks like in previous versions. So you'll get a dialog and you can select
it works in all the versions, but it works in a different way.
Yes, and the reason why it works is because the basic feature that we're adding here is basically a manifest code to designate the app as being able to open web links from this host. Okay, so there is a configuration in Zap. I'll cover it in a second in the documentation, but the documentation in Zap, the configuration in Zap enables you to add all the hosts that you need that you want the app to support, and the schemas HTTP, HTTPS, and also add a special path pattern to designate specific URLs. Yes, it's a regular expression that will designate specific URLs that we want to open via the app, and everything that should not be opened via the app. If the app doesn't support, for example, articles, we don't want URLs from articles to be opened by our app. We just don't include them in the regular expression. So this is a filtering method to include just what we need and what we can actually support.
You can open all other in just WebView in the app, all other options.
You can also do it with WebView, but if you want the user just to go to the browser and view it there, you can do it.
You prefer to go,
The default behavior is going to the browser if you're not supporting the link.
No, I think
but what he's saying is
it's better to open the app with a WebView inside.
He's saying you can give support to everything, and just whatever you cannot open natively, open within a browser, within a WebView in the app. That's possible, but just describing the implementation in Android. So that there is a filtering. Okay, so going back to the documentation now, I'm explaining what is deep linking, universal links, the iOS equivalent supported from iOS 9.0 and up, and the Zap configuration. Currently, it's not open to everybody, so if you go to Zap in the app version general settings, you will not be able to see it. When Ran releases it to the public, once we finish the documentation phase, we're still kind of in the middle of proving it. But once the documentation is done, it will be officially released, and then everybody can see it. Currently, just us have the access to it because we needed to configure. Yes, for Ziben are the first customer that has they have the implementation. Okay, so in the general settings, this is iOS, yes. General settings. Yes, we have it implemented in the SDK. It's already supported. They haven't released it with that, but yes, we checked it and it's working, and it's part of the SDK already. But in order to support it in your apps, you need the configuration in Zap. And also add the plugin, yes, which we'll mention also later. So the configuration in Zap, you have the app link hosts. The first item is the app link host, where you put all the links that you want to support, and the pattern is the regular expression. We can demo it. We can demo it also.
Yes, what does it mean, the link?
The host.
The host. Like if it's a CAN, COIL.
But the pattern is like it works on the links above, like.
Yes. So here's an example. These are the. Let's say I want to support myexample.com/videos and articles. Sorry, let's say I have a site that I want to support only videos and not articles, and these are the patterns that I have, the URLs that I have. I can add a regular expression to support only videos in the second field, and then only videos will be recognized by the app.
So it's like a whitelist.
Yes, it's whitelisting only the patterns that I want my app to support. Mm-hmm. That's the idea. Any questions so far about the Zap configuration? Very straightforward.
I understand what about the URL scheme? Like you are sharing the.
No, you will share the web.
No, if I want to share the URL scheme.
No, but
you don't need URL scheme, and actually the Zap team, after this is integrated into many apps, the Zap team will deprecate URL schemes because they will not be needed anymore. You will use HTTP links.
A lot of our apps now use using URLs. So
almost all.
Okay. So it's not mean that URL scheme are not supported.
We will support.
We will support it, but this is an additional option to support.
The internal flow navigation will be through URL scheme.
Yes.
Anyway.
Internally, it's going to be URL scheme, but the idea is after you have this and it is generally populated, you don't need to expose. URL scheme can be used only internally, because for external uses you can use HTTP links. Everything is clear so far, guys? Right, pretty straightforward. Cool. Okay, so the plugin configuration. I'll let Merav show just a
Can we show the
code snippets. Yes. Okay. We'll just do it.
Just click on the Big Bang Theory that opens a show.
I'm just sharing my screen. So, all right. You see me even if I share my screen?
No.
I think you. Okay. Never mind. Let's ignore it. Okay. So which one?
The Big Bang.
Big Bang Theory. Okay. So now I'm browsing. Oh, it's kind of small, but let's try. This is a browser. This is a browser with ProSieben's website. Okay.
It's not in the app. It's in the Chrome.
No, this is a Chrome browser with ProSieben website, and when I click on the Big Bang Theory, the app is launched directly on the web on the page that I needed. From the browser. That's the idea. Clicking on a web link opens an internal page in the app.
Google, when you search something in Google and click there.
The idea behind it is to allow traffic from the web to go into the app.
How do you
link
the link to the specific
that's the
activity?
Okay.
Do you want to show the view?
Good question.
Yes, let's good question. We have an answer coming up.
So just do this.
Okay. So now we have a URL for a VOD items. Looks like this, kind of. Oh, the app is open in the background. Never mind. Let's click OK. So I launched a VOD item from the web, and now it's loading the player. Okay, same idea. Just okay, cool. Great. So web links are translated into internal pages in the app, whether it's a video, an internal category, a show. It can be an article, whatever. That's the idea.
Translated to URL schemes that open a certain.
Yes, eventually what the user sees is an internal page. In the middle, there is a translation between the web URL and a URL scheme to open what we actually need.
So it sounds like we need a plugin for each one.
You're very helping me to promote the next thing. Yes. So the next thing in the documentation, I'll reshare my screen again. All right. So the next part in the documentation is the plugin configuration. When that plugin is configured, the app is open after clicking web URL. It needs to know how to link between the web URL and the internal screen, right? Okay. So we have samples here in the documentation, but I think it's best that Merav plugs her computer and shows in a minute how it looks in the code, the actual implementation. And just last part of the documentation is what to tell the client. In order to make the connection between the app and the web, the client needs to put on their website a configuration that actually identifies the app with the website. So they have to add something that is called assets link JSON. I'll show it here. This is how the JSON looks like. This is from Google documentation. You see here, this is a small JSON that they add, and this is the hash that you create from the key store, the release key store. This is the hash that you add to it.
The parent directory under the domain, like, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, in the main folder.
Okay,
and once this is set on the website and the app is installed, the communication, the link between the app and the website. This is the way.
Verify that you are the owner of the.
Exactly, so that you don't open, you don't take over, you don't take over websites that are not yours.
Yeah.
Web links that are not yours. So that's the idea. So this is another step that needs to be done, and the part of the documentation. Yeah. So this is the part in the documentation that is meant for the customers. So this is where the project managers need to tell the customers to add this configuration. And ProSieben has already done that, so we can demo, we can work with it now.
You need to stop sharing.
I will stop. Okay, yeah. Can you share though?
When you stop.
I did stop.
Okay, so. Okay, so this is the intent for ProSieben. I'm going to show you.
Yeah, the very small intent.
Yeah.
This is the intent.
So they have six hosts. Oh, you don't see it yet.
Yeah, ProSieben is kind of a complex configuration.
Plugin? What are we doing? This is the plugin or?
Okay, this is the plugin.
No, this is App Android.
Oh,
did you share? Maybe you share the specific window.
Can you add it to that one?
Stop the screen share.
Okay, so they have 6 hosts and 2 path patterns. So what it translates is to the screen that you just saw.
They have a host.
Automatically generate the intent.
Yes, as many hosts as you need to support here. They have a host in Germany. They have a host in Austria. There are different hosts in the web.
But the
so they had to support all of them.
Affect all domains.
You can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want,
no,
there's no case where a pattern for specific domain.
You can, but not via services. I guess you can.
What do you mean?
Manually.
Pattern per domain? No. We tried to keep it simple for the first.
See where we have use case, but just okay.
Yeah, most of the clients have only 1 or 2 domains, and the patterns are the same. But if the need comes, there might be a need to change.
Okay, so basically what you need to do is create a plugin that extends the base deep links agent.
Okay.
And what that does is implements the hook, loader hook hookup interface and implements the execute on startup. It receives the URI, the URL from the intent, and if it's not empty, it uses the convert to URL to URL scheme method, which your plugin should be implementing.
Wait, what is the first step again?
There.
If the URL, if it's empty.
Then just go on.
Finish.
That's basically it. I mean, I can show you what happens in ProSieben, but it's a bit complicated because they have a middleware.
But where all the mapping, like between
There.
code item and
The mapping is between URL to URL scheme. This is the
URL
mapping.
to URL scheme, yes, and
so by the type. Okay.
yeah, but this is in the
I
plugin.
think that the client can do. It's like
What do you mean the client can do?
it's a code. Yeah, it's plugin that the client can.
Okay, yeah. Technically, yes.
Yeah, we can.
And the plugins can vary to be something very simple, like having a if the link is this one,
type,
switch case,
yeah.
exactly. This for us it was a more complex, somewhat different implementation because they provided us with a service, with a web service, that by getting the URL, we would connect to them, and they would give us the ID that we needed of the VOD that we needed. So they added an interface for us, a web interface for us that we needed to implement, and we needed to use in order to resolve which ID of VOD item or whatever we needed to
The
show.
idea of the web is not the idea of
Yes, they have a
idea of the
translation,
real video.
web service for translation. So we needed to create this plugin, but this plugin can be very simple as
just build the URL.
Yeah.
But isn't it something generic, like the types? Like we have code and we have display.
Yeah, but every domain is different. Some like websites have video, some like have both, some have.
No, but building the URL scheme is the same for all the apps. No.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure I understand.
the
No,
URL
just
you
ask-
get are not the same. So
Yeah,
to
the
extract
problem
No, I'm
is
asking, like, we will have duplicate. We build the URL scheme inside the parser, no? Inside the hook.
yeah.
And this one it will be the same for all the plugins.
Oh, you mean-
We should do a
Build
It could be-
video URL scheme will be the same.
Okay, yeah.
will be the
so
same.
you till class. Or like
Yeah, so
building-
for
Or part of the base class.
okay.
yeah, it's a good idea.
For the first implementation we created
No,
in
yeah,
the plugin,
just,
if it can be
raise
generalized,
stuff.
probably after the next implementation, which should be fairly short, I guess. There is a lot of demand for similar features.
Yes.
Maybe things can be generalized and can be used in a utility class or whatever.
So now when I want to share a link from my
Just
app,
share the web.
okay, I will share the web. But if the user doesn't have the app, when I share it, so it won't go to the store.
Okay, that's also a good question. So what will happen if the app is not installed currently?
Hani can answer.
Yeah, Hani will answer it in a minute. But currently, what will happen if the app is not
Launch the
installed?
browser.
You will just launch your browser.
Yeah,
Exactly.
This is the behavior.
This is the intent that the user wanted. He wants to watch
No,
the
they
web.
want to open, for example, Khan video. They want to show user click on a share item or something for article.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to go to the store to download it. He wants to see the article. He wants
Yeah,
to read
but
it.
I think the motivation for the
No, but
is
in the
to
web,
download-
you can add a button download the app.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, for now,
it's
he's sharing.
customer. But,
Yeah, for now, when the user doesn't have the app, it will open the browser. There are features, and this is where dynamic links and what we talked about that Hani and her team are working on now. Dynamic links.
App links and
Yes, dynamic links is a feature by Firebase that is based on this idea of having uplinks support, but it allows you to configure URLs that will redirect the user, if they don't have the app, redirect it to the store to download the app, and from there to launch. Dynamic links is
it's a little bit more complicated. In the website, you need to publish every link or something. Like
Okay, but we have
the web implementation is a little bit.
I guess it is because you need you need.
The thing is that it's handled also with the case that client doesn't have web page or website.
Yes. So if the client doesn't have a website that they own and maintain, they need to configure some type of links somewhere, and they do it using the Firebase service, the dynamic links. So there are many scenarios in which it would be used, and now the US team is doing the first implementation for it. So, Hani, do you want to share a few words about it, or we'll save it?
Yeah, I mean, the process is pretty similar to Applinks, to how you configure the Applinks. We are also using the Applinks host, so I guess maybe rename it will be a good idea. But you need to.
It is an Applink host, though. It is Applink.
Yeah,
host.
it is. Mm-hmm.
Feature is still Applinks, but it's wrapped with the dynamic links feature. So it's
yes. Exactly. So what else? Obviously, you need to configure the Firebase JSON, Google JSON, or to configure your app in a Firebase console. And yeah, I guess that's it.
And if I understand correctly, you're doing something a bit different with dynamic links. You're defining URLs that are not from the web in order to.
Yeah, it's from, you get the host from the Firebase console, and then they redirect. I mean, what the convert URL to URL scheme is, it's happening. Just happens. You don't need to create to implement this.
So it's just like an empty implementation of the.
Yeah, you just get it for free, and then when you get when your app is open, it's look like it opened from the URL scheme that you put in the Firebase configuration.
So once you have something up and running, it will be nice to see how it works for your apps. It will be a good way to see another implementation of the usage of zoning. It would be great.
Okay.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions about what we've just seen?
When we can use it?
When? Okay, so currently it's part of the SDK already. I mean, the entire the code that we added is actually part of Zap, honestly, but it needs to be. We need to finish the documentation. I need to populate it, and also, yeah, the guidelines for creating the plugins is also part of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guy, is it actually tested? Not manually. I'm talking about automatically.
Tested? Like, what do you mean?
Unitary tests. So.
Well, it's not really covered with testing. We kind of thought about scenarios of how we could test. I mean, this involves also website configuration. So we need something. I mean, it's kind of tricky to think about testing scenarios in this case. But if you have some ideas of how you would test this specific feature, it would be interesting to hear.
Okay.
I mean, it's not covered with full testing of.
Yeah, at least the basic functionality of each of the methods that we're actually exposing on the base class should be actually also tested unitary. Like otherwise, it will end up again on the same thing. Like people will change things in 6 months and things will break, and no one will understand why it's breaking. So with the tests, if we actually include these unitary tests, we actually have reassurance that if we break something, at least we know that we're actually breaking something. So otherwise, we have no idea. So that's the whole point.
Okay.
Last one. Agreed.
Agreed.
In general, it's not something specific for this.
You're right.
But if one that is writing a piece of code, please cover it by testing. This is a very core, by the way, very important feature, and I'm very happy that you guys implemented it. But the comment of Javier is, of course, very general. comment for everything. Please try, even that it takes more time. Like,
we did have a discussion about it, but since most of the work was writing the plugin, the parser from the URL to the URL scheme, there was not much test coverage. But yeah, we can review it and see if we can add anything.
Please try to find the time, at least this piece of code that is the router of this. Try to find. It's very simple to write tests for it, so it would be great. And I see that we also have Boaz here. That should be. Oh, he left already. I saw him, but he should be advocating it for it as well. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions, guys?
Where will be the documentation published, by the way? In the Zap tech book?
Yeah, I need to review it with some of the project managers to see that it's all clear and something that can export and review with the client, because obviously it's going to be partially internal and partially external. But once this is done, Ran will publish to Zap.
Yeah, basically everything is ready. Everything is published. The team is using it. It's only covered by a feature flag, so it's not exposed for everybody. But once we have the documentation done, it's a matter of toggling the switch. So it's about that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So thank you, guys. I think we're done.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thanks.
Thanks for the work.
Yeah.